You are listening to the Marry Your Future podcast with Christina Armstrong, where we help you break up with your past so you can marry your future. Christina is an author, singles coach, and speaker who is passionate about helping women journey from breakup to boss up. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode.
You know how many relationships the Lord has ended? I was supposed to be married 4 times. I had 4 relationships that were heading toward marriage. 2 of them, which I paid for wedding stuff. I paid for venues, the dresses bought. God wrecked it. No, I ain't endorsing that. Thank God I listened. Thank God I listened. Could you imagine being in a marriage that God doesn't endorse? And I don't know why we have this thought that once we get married, it's God's perfect will. Oh, we're under the covenant of marriage, so it's God's gonna bless it. Lies. Ain't nobody, you married to a whole demon. Ain't nobody, you married to a whole warlock, and you think God gonna endorse that? No. No. But because we live in a culture where, especially in the Christian circle, if you go to any Bible college, marriage is at the top of the list. It's an epidemic. And I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. Being hot and horny is not a reason to get married. Because you can't control your flesh is not a reason to get married. And then you get in a relationship, in a marriage that is not endorsed by God, and you are literally living in hell, afraid to do anything, to make any decision, because now you won't made a decision that was not endorsed by God. So now you're questioning every other decision you made. Now you're stuck in fear and not wanting to move. Now you don't even want to seek God because there's shame, guilt, and condemnation. You're living in a living hell. 4 marriages God saved me from. Well, this last one was sent to tear me up. This last one was sent to derail me. And not even in intentionally. I don't think the person knew that they were being used by the enemy. But the same way Saul was set up to be king forever, and he didn't partner with God, but he partnered with his own will, and it changed the plans. And then we had a David. Yeah, baby, my life, baby, I was about to destroy my life. Do you hear me? I was about to be here in mental torment. I was about to be here double minded. I was about to be so unstable in all my ways. Why? Because of bad relationships. That's the enemy's tool. That's what he uses, especially for women. Women are under attack. Look at what's going on. And because we don't know who we are and whose we are, we settle for bums. It's ghetto. Because we want something done by a certain time frame, we settle. We create Ishmaels. We create Ishmaels, and we want the result of having the promise. But you settled. It's tough in these streets. Listen, like time don't matter to God. Where it feels like, God, I've been single for this long. God, I've been doing this for this long. God, where is my Boaz? God. But then we settle. 4 marriages he saved me from. The first one, the first one was straight manipulation. I was a whole operating in full witchcraft, manipulating that relationship, signing us up for premarital counseling. He's saying I'm not ready. I'm saying you gonna get ready. Just horrible. All because I wanted to fulfill a date. I felt like God had told me something, which he did, but because I was immature and couldn't process, because I made what God said to me my own thing. I interpreted it with my motives. I interpreted it with my desires. When I didn't have a healthy fear of the Lord. I didn't have a relationship with the Lord. It was when I was not, when I was not being clay, but when I was being stone. Oh yeah, I was manipulating that whole situation. Who signed somebody up for marriage, premarital Counseling, when they tell you I'm not ready, get to the counseling session, says to the counselor, yeah, I'm not ready. Christina, why are we here? Because I got to make this happen. That's why we here. Harsh, harsh. Second one, I second one, I don't even know. A second one was the same thing. I was trying to make things happen, and I had nobody around me to say this thing. I'm lying. I had one lady. Radanya, if you ever see this, God bless you. Because that lady sat across from me and I was pissed. And she said, I don't think that's what the word that you got from God means. And I was like, this is stupid. She gave me a bracelet. I took the bracelet off and threw it. Got up and walked away. That poor woman. But she was right. She was right. That was the word I got from God, but that wasn't the interpretation. And here I was trying to strong arm these relationships, trying to strong arm these trying to get married. I would have wrecked my life. Second one comes along, I'm like, all right, he tall, dark skin, it'll work. My standards were so low. I'm like, he's tall, dark skin, it'll work. We can make it happen. Tell him this Jesus Christ. This is how much of a leader I am, and I didn't even understand the power I possessed. I didn't understand how influential I was. Tell him God told me. God said, put in God's name. He ain't endorsing nothing. He ain't endorsing nothing. The men that were supposed to be assignments in ministry, I'm trying to make into marriage. Hello, ghetto. Second one, I'm telling, hey, God said, this is the vision I had. You came right along. I think you fit into this. I don't know. But this time I was a little bit more religious and spiritual. So I was like, you go pray about it and let me know what you think. That you go pray about it. This man he go and buy something from a jewelry store to build up credit so we can get the ring eventually. Stuff is just moving fast. And I start to feel heavy. Like I start to feel like I have bricks on me. And thank God, because had I not had that feeling like something's wrong, I think the Lord had to do that because I was crazy enough to try to go through that. And so I began to feel heavy in this relationship. And I'll never forget, he came to me and he said, hey, I think I need to go on a fast. We shouldn't talk while I'm on this fast. I think maybe we should take a break. Y'all, my response was, oh, I agree. I think we should see other people. That was my response. Because I had felt so heavy. I knew I needed to get out of this relationship. But because he hadn't cheated, he hadn't lied, he didn't dog me out, he was respectful, he was a provider, I had no reason to leave. So when he brought that to me, I was like, great, I think we need to see other people. The moment I hung up that phone, it was like whoosh, the weight lifted off. And I was like, oh, that was God. Oh, I wasn't supposed to be doing that. I wasn't supposed to be doing that. This man comes back a week or two later, has a mental breakdown. I mean, I don't know if there was mental health there. I don't know if there was spiritual. It was crazy. Had I been yoked up to that, my life would have been destroyed. I would have been destroyed. And not saying that anything was wrong with him as a person, but thank God I didn't go through that process. Thank God I didn't go through that process. Thank God. There was a time I'm walking by faith. I'm getting a venue. I got the dress. I'm sending out invitations. I'm doing all of this looking foolish. Why? Because faith looks foolish when you walking it out. No, baby, you were being foolish. Faith brings results. You were being foolish. And I'm sitting in here and I'm wasting money and I'm doing these things and nothing is happening. So finally, I get to this point where I'm like, God, you lied. You gave me a word. It didn't come to pass. There is no marriage. I quit. You literally, I'm like, you're a liar. I don't care what anybody says. You lied. And I go on this theatrical death to the promise. I wear black instead of having a wedding. I go out with my friends in all black and I get super drunk and I'm like, death to the promise. Super dramatic. I should probably be on somebody's stage. And so I do all of this and I'm done. I'm like, I'm done. I'm not doing it. Well, old habits die hard. So I end up in another relationship. And this one, I didn't even. This one was pure survival. It was pure survival. I needed a place to stay. I was a straight. I was one. I was a bum. Your girl was a bum at one point. So this one was survival. And I remember my cousin came to visit, and she said, "Christina, that's not even your type." And I was like, "It's God. It's God." I was like, "It's God." It wasn't God, y'all. God was not endorsing that. And it was bad. That caused me to spiral just because I knew I had no business being in that relationship. I knew I was supposed to be further along than what I was. I was stuck in a rut and then I felt like I got played. And it's nothing like getting played by somebody you lowered your standards for. And nothing wrong with that person, but they weren't my type. I had lowered my standards. It was like it just was not spiritually. We weren't on the same level. Like I was that spiritual, but spiritually we weren't on the same level. When it came down to um, how we handled stress and struggle, totally different. Um, and it just was not what it was supposed to be. That relationship ended. So now I'm hurt. I'm not even hurt that it ended. I'm pissed because I'm prideful and I feel like you played me and I feel like I lowered my standards, you ungrateful bastard. That is really how I felt. And so now I have this hardness and I'm like, nothing I'm doing is working. Let me just stop. So I do this fake surrender. I become celibate. I sit with the Lord for 5 years of celibacy. I don't want no man. Marriage is off the table. It's just me and Omari. We good. Not doing it. I'm on track. I go into Bible school. I'm doing my years. I'm learning. I'm seeing things happen. I'm leading ministries in church. I'm feeling peaceful. Yet there was still residue of who I was. I hadn't gone through a process of healing. I had just begun to perform. I stopped having sex, but I began to perform by showing up and doing things at church and serving and that. But there was no heart surgery. There was no looking in the mirror going, you're the problem. There was no nothing. And so I'm going through this process. There's little things happening. I'm keeping myself for the Lord. I'm not drinking. I'm I'm just I'm doing what I think I should do. I think I'm over the whole promise thing. I'm like, that died a long time ago and the Lord is still bringing it up. Hey, my word never changes. Hey, my word never changes. In fact, he brings me to a place where I see the promise and it's going in a circle. And he says it's in a circle because I don't fail. That promise is still yours. And I'm like, well, I don't know what it is because I done tried to marry Tom, Dick, Harry, Ben, Paul, and ain't nothing happening. And then I get to this place where I feel like I've arrived. I feel like I've made progress. I'm being celibate. I'm not drinking. I'm sober. I'm in this space and I'm not looking. This is the first time in my life where I can go into a store, see a man and not imagine he's my husband or not be consumed with thoughts of how is this him or could none of that. I'm at peace. I put this desire for marriage or this idol on the altar, and I don't want anything. I'm like, God, if it's just me and you, it's me and you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to check out the website at itschristinaarmstrong.com for more content. And remember, God can't heal who you pretend to be. It's time you break up with your past so you can marry your future.